$39,991 people, 30-plus automakers, hundreds of vehicles spread across 300,000 square feet. The Vancouver Auto Show is designed to overwhelm, to impress, to make the car feel larger than life. With everything from massive trucks to tiny compact cars, test drives, celebrity appearances, and all the spectacle you would expect from an event built to celebrate driving. So that begs the question, how did I end up here? Well, it's pretty simple. I applied for a press pass to the auto show on a whim one day, and to my surprise and delight, it was approved. My plan? 1 part infiltrating enemy territory, 1 part bridge building. I was hoping to ask some tough questions and kind of make fun of the whole event, but I was also genuinely curious to talk to car enthusiasts about road safety. So with the help of a fellow Vision Zero volunteer, we set out to find the best and the worst of the Vancouver Auto Show. The day got started with a media tour. We heard from some auto industry execs, got a warm welcome from Mayor Ken Sim, and then headed downstairs to see the cars. The first thing that immediately struck us on the show floor was, despite the fact that transportation is our province's single largest source of GHG emissions, nature imagery was everywhere.
I notice here at the GM booth, there's a lot of emphasis on the outdoors, the ruggedness. They got camping setups. They got the Hummer here is on a display on a pile of rocks. But it does make me wonder if the car companies feel that they have any obligation to protect the ecosystems of the environment where all the off-roading is going to be done.
And though they may be marketed for off-roading, the vast majority of these vehicles are going to be driven around cities and suburbs on paved roads almost exclusively for their entire service lives. Remember, this is taking place in Vancouver, where our city's annual transportation survey has found that half of the car trips being taken are less than 5 kilometers total distance. Marketing notwithstanding, most people are using their cars for banal day-to-day errands and commuting.
In the UK, they recently banned car advertising that showed driving off roads and ripping up the terrain. I think that's something that we should probably do here in North America. I thought that the car companies would at least have like some sort of like plausible deniability, like, oh no, we're just filming you on the road. But like this display here of the Bronco, it's like fully just in the terrain. I'm going to try and find out if the people here feel that the manufacturers have any responsibility for any environmental destruction that might be brought on by their vehicles. So we'll see if we can talk to anyone about that.
But our plans of interviewing reps immediately got kiboshed. Okay, so basically what we've heard from everyone is, oh, the media people were here earlier and you should have talked to them then. But I was here earlier for the media tour and there was not like a on-camera Q&A opportunity at all then. So I think what we've learned from the auto show is just that they do not take questions on camera. But we were still able to ask questions off camera, and some of the answers might even surprise diehard car fans. While a lot of people come to the auto show for the luxury race cars, these represent a tiny fraction of the vehicle market and were not really what we had our sights on. We wanted to see some of our nation's most popular vehicles, which represent 85% of sales in BC. They're getting wider, taller, and heavier every year, and they just keep growing. One of our goals on the show floor was to find the tallest hood height, but it soon became obvious there was no shortage of competition. These changes don't just make an aesthetic difference. Taller vehicles are significantly more likely to seriously injure or kill a pedestrian, with studies finding children are 8 times more likely to die when struck by an SUV compared with a sedan. Why? There are 3 main reasons. Number 1 is poor sightlines and many blind spots mean drivers have a harder time seeing pedestrians, especially children or people using a wheelchair. Unfortunately, cameras aren't a perfect solution to this. Despite the fact that backup cameras have been mandatory in new vehicles for nearly a decade, 50 children are backed over by vehicles every week in the United States. To demonstrate the front blind spots, Chris took the driver's seat in a Ford Bronco to figure out what sightlines actually look like.
All right, so Margie just hit on me. I saw her go down on the side of the vehicle over there. Oh, I can just see the top of your head. So we have a human person hiding from me. in the front of the vehicle. I don't know where she's gone. Maybe she snuck around. There's Margie.
I'm right in front of his
Can't
wheel.
tell where Margie is. Maybe she's oh, over there. Yeah. So actually, wait, stand up. I cannot see you right now.
Are you serious?
I cannot see you right now.
Oh my god.
The frame, the A frame is right here, and the side view mirror. Literally, there might or might not be a person right there. I can't see. I don't know if the GoPro is the same angle because it's a little bit ahead of my face, but like where I am looking, I can't even see that there's a person there right now. That's wild.
For comparison, we tried it with a more traditional sedan, this Hyundai, and found that I would literally have to crawl along the front grille to be hidden from Chris's view.
Well, and so the other thing about this one is this A-frame is angled, so you wouldn't be able to hide behind it the same way. Even if you tried to, like, the angle's not there. You'd have to like tilt yourself to be able to hide. Yeah, you'd have to like, yeah.
Number 2 is the fact that these taller hoods impact right at torso or head height. Sorry to be a little graphic, but basically what this means is that when a taller car hits a pedestrian, it's more likely to hit right at their center of gravity, sending them to the ground and then running them over. With shorter cars, a pedestrian is more likely to be hit in the legs and collide into the car's hood, which is designed to have some give to it for exactly this reason. Painful? Yes. Deadly? Less often.
Unofficial Vision Zero Vancouver Award for the highest hood height. This is the 2026 GMC Sierra 3500 series. Stock height, I asked, this has not been raised. This is available from the factory. And the hood of this vehicle comes up to here on me. Basically, my entire body, except for my head, is on this vehicle. That's quite an accomplishment, I suppose.
And number 3 is since force is a function of mass times acceleration, a heavier vehicle transfers more force. Greater impact force equals greater chance of death. This is the Hummer EV, which is a vehicle that is so heavy that in Europe it would be required to be speed limited at 90 kilometers an hour. But here in Canada, not only do we have it for sale, but we actually have it even in the ICBC-sponsored test drive zone here. So ICBC, our insurance company that purports to be a big supporter of road safety, suggests that maybe this is a car that you want to check out today.
The Hummer EV weighs 9,000 pounds. It's 3,000 pounds more than the gas version of the Hummer used to be. So it's 3,000 pounds of batteries added to it. But don't worry, because that lowers the center of gravity, so you're less likely to flip over. The acceleration is 0 to 100 in 2.8 seconds. And I asked if there was any concern with having a vehicle that is 9,000 pounds that can get up to 100 kilometers per hour in 2.8 seconds. And he said it's basically on the driver's responsibility to make sure that they do that safely. And I asked if it's possible that there is, in fact, no responsible way to accelerate a vehicle that quickly, that weighs that much. And they didn't have a great answer for that. It's wild to me that this vehicle is allowed on the road. Not necessary, and it's not safe, and it's stupid. That's all I have to say about that.
A lot of people don't even know this information when they're shopping for a car, and manufacturers sure aren't shouting it from the rooftops. What we were curious to learn at the auto show is there a utility to all this? Why are we making cars like this? While no one would speak with us on camera, we actually found that most people on the floor were super open to our questions. Many of them had been in the industry for a long time and experienced the vehicles changing before their own eyes.
We asked about the usefulness of these massive vehicles, and he wasn't allowed to say it on camera, but the GMC rep here did suggest that these vehicles have surpassed their usefulness with their size. He specifically mentioned like trucks in the 60s, you used to be able to get your tools in and out of the back. I asked if they would make like a contractor edition that is good on gas and can take your tools places you need to go. And he said that the Australians might be doing that. That's all he said. This is why they can't go on camera, because they know it's ridiculous. these vehicles. Wild.
One of the most surprising safety suggestions was from a rep who shall remain nameless. He suggested that if a vehicle has a really high nose height and it's coming at you, maybe what you should do is just lie down and let it go over you. So we've just been investigating whether we think that we could simply lie down and let the vehicle pass over us. So let's have a look under this little Ford Bronco. Okay, so it's got pretty good clearance. I do feel like it would pass over me, except but there's something at the very back that's coming very low. So I do not think I would make it if I let this car just simply roll right over me. But even the winner of the unofficial Vision Zero Vancouver Award for tallest hood height would not be a candidate for this technique.
Can I lay down under it? No, I cannot actually. I don't think so. There's a, it's actually for how big this vehicle is, the clearance is very low. I don't think you could drive this over a log. That's wild.
While much of the safety talk was left as a footnote, one car company did have it on display, front and center, even if there was a caveat.
As you can see behind me, Volvo has been dedicated to safety since 1927, which is almost 100 years, which is amazing. So I would assume that Volvo would have amongst the safest lineup of cars. And they do have an example of one of their crash test vehicles here, which is pretty cool. So you can see that this vehicle was crashed in at 55 kilometers per hour, which is not as fast as most people like to drive. So it's a little bit of a slowdown there, but perhaps they're also accounting for the fact that people will hopefully put their brakes on. There's a sign over here that says, our vision is that no one should be seriously injured or killed in a new Volvo car. They don't specifically mention the people outside of the car.
Their new AI-powered adaptive seatbelt, which uses a variety of sensors to gather data about the traffic conditions and the passenger's body and make corresponding adjustments to its load settings. This was the only piece of new technology we learned about, with other manufacturers largely citing systems that have become pretty standard in new vehicles, like cameras and side mirror alerts. When we asked sales staff about safety innovations and technology they were most excited about, very few could point to anything that meaningfully protects people outside the vehicle. A GMC rep highlighted the Hummer EV's cyclist detection system, explaining that if a cyclist comes out of nowhere, the side mirror will beep and flash to warn the driver. We didn't get to test it ourselves, but the framing stood out. Cyclists rarely come out of nowhere. Usually, they were just harder to see than they should have been in the first place. On the whole, the auto show highlighted that the systems we have are not doing their job to offer consumers a diversity of safe, functional, and practical vehicles that do not exceed safe civilian use. If we want safe roads, we have to offer safe vehicles, for those in and out of them. Smaller, lighter vehicles exist around the world, and I'm not just talking about adorable K-trucks, but modern pickup trucks from major North American brands. They're often not available here in Canada. While some will say that the North American market simply loves these big cars and won't buy small ones, remember that the auto industry spends tens of billions of dollars on advertising to this market every year. We deserve better. Thanks for watching, and if you want to support Vision Zero Vancouver, you can head to our website to make a donation or get involved as a volunteer.
That's so insane that the argument is just lie down under the truck. I can't even say it.